Hello. In this short video, we will look at what an operating system is. This is not a deep dive technical discussion. This video is primarily geared towards individuals who are trying to get into the IT industry and to get a good grasp of what an operating system is and practically, what is it and what is available out there in the market so that you can talk efficiently on the job. So before we dive into the topic, let's take a look at what the objectives are for this particular video. So of course we'll try to understand what an operating system is. Then we will look at the Microsoft family, and then we'll discuss about the additions that are available within the Microsoft operating system family, and we'll also look at the different Unix and Linux flavors. So before we jump into the actual topic, let's take a look at a simple example or analogy. This is a good example. I really like it. And before we get in, this analogy is not one-to-one in relationship with the operating system, but it does serve its purpose. So we have this TV hardware, and we have Jack who wants to turn on the TV. So how would he do? How does he turn on the TV? He would need a remote. So the remote has all the buttons on it. That means the Jack can only use those buttons to work with the TV, and that means that's the scope of his operation: to turn on the TV, turn off the TV, increase the volume, decrease the volume. So Jack primarily uses the remote to work with the TV. So I use this example because here we can just replace TV with the computer and remote with the operating system. Of course, the operating system is not hardware as a remote, but you can compare it that way. And the operating system user interacts with the operating system. Here Jack, and the operating system interacts with the hardware which is inside the computer. So let's get into this. So we have our desktop here, and then we have Jack on the right hand side trying to work with the computer. So if this is a brand new computer with no operating system, how does that work? When you turn on the TV, or I mean to say when you turn on the computer, what really happens is your BIOS runs the power on self-test, which will check all the hardware. After it checks all the hardware, it'll try to look at the operating systems, which we don't have, and you'll end up with an error which says operating system not found. So primarily, you need software, the operating system software that goes onto your computer. That means you'll install on the computer, and then you'll work with the operating system, and the operating system works with what? The hardware. So the operating system interacts with the hardware. So from that perspective, if you look at the roles or the responsibilities of the operating system, it needs to interact with every hardware component that's inside your computer. It could be network card, video card, sound card, memory, hard drive, CD-ROM, anything. I mean, literally, the operating system will have to interact. If the operating system cannot understand or cannot recognize a hardware, of course, it will not be able to communicate with it. So the primary role of the operating system is to interact with the hardware. Now, with that said, let's look at the operating systems that are available in the market. So we have Microsoft family, you have Windows 7, 8, we have Windows XP, Windows Server 2000, Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2008. These are all different operating systems from Microsoft. And from when it comes to Unix, you have various Unix flavors like Sun Solaris, you have AIX, you have Ubuntu, you have Red Hat, you have many flavors of Unix. Mac OS is from Apple, and Mac, even though it's marketed as a Mac operating system, it's really a flavor of Unix. So in the background, it's really the Unix, it's the Mac UI that makes it look different, but still in the back end, it's still Unix. So primarily these are the different operating systems that are available for the users to be installed on their systems. For example, if you buy an Intel hardware, you'll not be able to install Mac unless Mac came with Intel version of I'm sorry, not Intel version, but the hardware that is specific for the Mac. The regular systems, you'll end up installing either Microsoft operating system or Unix operating system. For Mac, to install Mac, you really need either Mac hardware, or you may end up installing it in a virtual environment, which we'll kind of discuss the virtual environments later down the line. But for now, just remember or assume the fact that to install Mac operating system, you need a Mac PC or Mac hardware. Okay, now let's quickly look at my operating systems that are available from Microsoft. So to begin with, you have MS-DOS, which is command line, and then you have Windows-based operating systems. And in Windows-based operating systems, you have client-side OS and server-side OS. Client-side operating systems like Windows 7, 8, Vista, 2000, these are all optimized for the end user. Whereas these operating systems, Windows Server 2012, 2008, 2003, these are all geared towards a server-side operating system, meaning it can run other applications or services and serve the network or users. So it is optimized for that. Now let's take a look at the editions that are available with Windows operating systems. So to begin with, let us first try to understand what an edition is. Edition is like a travel package. By that, what I mean is, when you go to a travel agent for a vacation package, you may have package 1, package 2, package 3. They may have things in common, but there might be a couple of extras in other packages. So primarily, let's say, for example, this is an economy class ticket, comes with this package, and here, let's say, you get a business class ticket with this package. But let's say all the packages take you to, Bahamas. The destination is still the same, but each package comes with its own feature set. So primarily, editions are like that. Meaning, Microsoft would release, say, for example, Windows, or let's say Windows 8 operating systems. Windows 8 comes with an Enterprise Edition, Ultimate Edition, and a regular edition, or to say Professional Edition. And if you go to Microsoft.com, you will really, Microsoft.com articles go down into the details on what's available and what's not available between these editions. So primarily, it's the features that are available in different editions. So that's what would make the difference. Say, for example, the built-in encryption is not available in Windows 7 Professional Edition, but in Windows 7 Enterprise or Ultimate Edition, you have encryption option available for your hard drive. So that's just one example. Another example I can give is, let's say, XP Home Edition and XP Professional Edition. Here you cannot install IIS, which is a web server, but here you can install your IIS on this software. This is more geared towards programmers and testers. This is for home users. So that's the difference, and that's how they have these editions. And unfortunately, Microsoft has these editions, and they change from one operating system to another. Say, for example, if you take Windows XP and you compare it with Windows 7, they have totally different editions. So don't try to remember them. That was one of those questions. Say, should I remember these editions? Do not try to remember. Have an idea that there are some editions, and every edition has a different feature set, or things might be in common, but primarily they have different set of features. So not every let's say, for example, if you take Windows 7 and if you say, hey, are all these editions available for Windows 7? No, I just listed them because just to get an idea. So standard enterprise data center, these are the editions that are primarily available under Windows Server operating systems, and home professional are available for client-side operating systems. However, with Windows 7 and 8, the Enterprise Edition is also available there. Now, whether you have an Enterprise Edition or Standard Edition under Windows 7 or Windows 8, that is not important. What is important is that you have editions that are available from Microsoft when they release an operating system, and every edition has its boundaries. And for you to be able to use certain features, you may be cornered to use a particular edition of the operating system. So just to get an idea on the editions. Now, in general, let's quickly take a look at the Windows features. So by that, what I mean is, most of these Windows operating systems comes with a pretty standard set. Say, Windows XP and Windows 7 kind of look the same. Sorry, Windows XP and Windows 7. I still said wrong. Windows XP and Windows 2000 kind of look the same, close to each other. But when it comes to Windows 7 and 8, they look a little bit different. But bottom line is, in these Windows operating systems, you have things like, control panel, where you can control various things. Event viewer, it's a tool to look at events that happen on the system, meaning, when someone logs in, when someone logs out, when system, let's say, when system crashes, you start services, stop services, all those events are registered into this particular tool. It's really not the events registered into the tool. The events are written to the operating system database, which is maintained by the operating system, and the event viewer will allow you to view those events. Task Manager is a tool that's available in pretty much all the operating systems to look at the system resources like memory, CPU, users, etc. Now, Performance Monitor is another tool that is used to monitor the performance of the system. Registry is more like a school registry where you have all the students listed in the registry. This is kind of close to that. The Windows registry has all the information about every software that is installed on the system. List on all the hardware details, all the software details, everything is listed here. Do not try to get into the registry. A simple change could crash your system, or it will become unusable. Windows Firewall, if you go to Windows XP, Windows say 3.1, you may not have Firewall there, but it started with Windows XP. Then you have, from there onwards, you have pretty much in every release of Microsoft operating system, you have Windows Firewall, which can be enabled. And Firewall is nothing but, you can you can allow requests into your system based on these rules. If you say, for example, block certain thing, let's say block FTP into the system, it will be blocked here. So you'll control. It's almost like a door to your apartment or a house. So depending on who has the key, they can get into the system, but if they don't have the permission, they'll not be able to get in. Of course, this is just a quick overview. You have many more things within Windows operating system, like Notepad, disk defragmenter, and other things. So that's a quick tour on Windows, and let's now take a look at Unix family. So under Unix, it'll be a quick 1-minute thing. As I said before, Unix has many flavors. Originally, Unix was developed at AT&T Labs, and it was open source, so anybody could actually take this code and use it. So they made it available. So Sun Microsystems took it, made a few changes, built their Unix operating system and called it Sun Solaris. IBM took it, made some changes specific to their likes and dislikes and called it AIX. And then HP Unix did the same thing and called it HP UX, and SCO and other companies. And you might have heard about Linux or Linux, however you want to pronounce it. And you have different flavors: Red Hat, Ubuntu, CentOS. CentOS is completely free. You can do a simple Google and download it. Same way, Ubuntu is also free. Red Hat is not free. It's by Red Hat. You'll have to pay for the license. It's still much cheaper compared to Windows operating system. But Sun also has a free version and a commercial version. HP, of course, it's a commercial version. So I'll have a separate video on introduction to Unix, where you can, which will show you how you can work with the Unix operating system and all that. But this is, the whole point of this video was to get an idea of the operating systems that are available out there in the market. Anyway, thank you. That will conclude this video.